The great chamber on Nexus Prime was silent. Admiral Taemin Kang stood in the human section, his uniform crisp and his face calm. Next to him, Ambassador Ji-won Park reviewed her notes one last time. They had been doing this for 47 years. 47 years of meetings, debates, and careful diplomacy. The Galactic Council was the most powerful organization in known space. 12 species sat in the Grand Circle, making decisions that affected billions of lives. Humanity had earned their seat through blood, sweat, and innovation. They had proven themselves worthy, or so they thought. Captain Sung-Ho Lee sat behind them with the military escort. He watched the alien counselors with sharp eyes. Something felt wrong today. The other species were whispering among themselves, avoiding eye contact with the human delegation. Counselor Vrethix rose from his seat. The Altarian was tall and covered in blue scales that shimmered under the lights. His species had led the council for 300 years. He looked down at the humans with barely hidden contempt. "We call this session to order," Vrethix announced. "Today we address the matter of human expansion." Ji-won stood smoothly. She had prepared for this. "Counselor, if I may speak first, humanity wishes to present our latest contributions to the council." "That will not be necessary," Vrethix said coldly. Taemin felt his jaw tighten, but he remained still. Ji-won glanced at him, then continued. "Nevertheless, the council should know. We have developed a cure for the Crimson Plague. 3 of your species have been suffering from this disease for decades. We can end that suffering." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The plague had killed millions. But Vrethix waved his hand dismissively. "The council is aware of your activities," Ji-won pressed on. "We have also perfected a new FTL navigation system that reduces travel time by 40%. And we have created a defensive shield technology that—" "Enough!" Counselor Thalen slammed his appendage on his desk. The Morvian's voice was harsh. "This is exactly the problem. Humans advance too quickly. You take too much. You grow too fast." Taemin stood now, his presence commanding. "We take nothing that is not freely given. We have purchased every world we colonized. We have followed every law." "You follow the letter of the law while violating its spirit," Vrethix said. "When humanity joined this council, you had 12 worlds. Now you have 237. Your fleets patrol sectors that were ours for millennia. Your technology outpaces species that have been spacefaring for 10,000 years. Is success now a crime?" Ji-won asked quietly. Another counselor spoke up, her voice bitter. "You make us look primitive. You make us feel unnecessary." There it was. The truth. Taemin had suspected this for years. The other species were not angry at human actions. They were angry at human excellence. Vrethix stood taller. "The council has voted. We are implementing restrictive measures effective immediately. Humanity will cease all colonial expansion for the next 50 years. You will share all technological developments with the council freely. Your voting rights are reduced to advisory status only, and your fleet size will be cut in half." The chamber erupted. Some species applauded, others looked uncomfortable. The human delegation stood frozen. Sung-Ho leaned forward and whispered urgently, "Admiral, this is an act of war hidden behind bureaucracy." Taemin raised his hand, silencing him. He stepped forward, his boots echoing in the chamber. Every eye turned to him. "For 47 years, Taemin began, his voice carrying across the vast room. Humanity has bled for this council. We answered every call for help. When the Torvin faced extinction from the quantum plague, who developed the cure? We did. When pirates ravaged the Outer Rim, who sent fleets to protect merchants? We did. When the Morvian colonies were dying from famine, who shared agricultural technology freely? We did." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We came to you with open hands. We shared our knowledge. We defended worlds that were not our own. We asked for nothing but respect and fair treatment." Vrethix sneered. "And you received it. We allowed you into the council." "Allowed." Taemin's voice hardened. "We earned our place. Every species here knows it, but earning respect is not enough, is it? You fear us, not because we threaten you, but because we remind you of your own stagnation." "How dare you?" Thalen shouted. "I dare because it is true," Taemin replied. "You have had peace for so long that you forgot how to grow. You have been comfortable for so long that you see ambition as a threat. We worked harder, innovated faster, and dreamed bigger. And for that you want to chain us down." Ji-won stepped beside him. Her voice was softer but no less powerful. We have given you miracle cures that you could not develop in centuries. We have shared technology that you lack the creativity to imagine. We have protected you with military might that you cannot match. And this is how you repay us? You will comply with the restrictive measures, Frethix demanded. Or face sanctions. Taimin looked at Jiwan. She nodded. They had discussed this possibility during the flight to Nexus Prime. They had hoped it would not come to this. But they had prepared. No, Taimin said simply. The chamber fell silent. No, Frethix repeated, as if he had misheard. Humanity hereby withdraws from the Galactic Council effective immediately, Jiwan announced. Her voice rang clear and final. We will no longer share our innovations. We will no longer defend your borders. We will no longer participate in your politics. Chaos erupted. Councilors shouted over each other. Some demanded the humans reconsider. Others hurled insults. Frethix's face turned a darker shade of blue. You need us more than we need you, he shouted. Where will you trade? Who will defend you from external threats? You are committing suicide. Taimin smiled coldly. Are we? Let me tell you what happens next, Counselor. Every human ship will begin withdrawing from Council space. Every trade agreement is dissolved. Every defense pact is void. Every research partnership is terminated. Every medical team is recalled. You are making a mistake, Thalen warned. The mistake was made when you decided fear was more important than friendship, Jiwan said. You had our loyalty. You had our support. You had our best intentions, and you threw it away because you could not stand to see us succeed. Sung-Ho was already on his communicator, sending coded messages. Across the galaxy, human commanders were receiving their orders. The withdrawal would begin within the hour. Frethix laughed bitterly. You will be back. Within a year you will come crawling back, begging to rejoin. You cannot survive without the Council's trade networks, without our markets, without our protection. Taimin turned to leave, then paused. He looked back at the Council one last time. You are right about one thing, Counselor. Someone will come crawling, but it will not be us. The human delegation walked out. Their footsteps echoed in the stunned silence. Behind them, the counselors began arguing among themselves. Some were already having second thoughts. Others insisted the humans were bluffing. As they boarded their ship, Sung-Ho looked at the Admiral. Sir, are we really doing this? Taimin looked at the stars beyond the viewport. We gave them every chance. We offered partnership, friendship, and mutual growth. They chose fear and control instead. Now they will learn what they have lost. What happens to the Council now? Sung-Ho asked. Jiwan answered, her expression sad but resolute. They will learn that respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned. And they will learn that humanity does not need permission to thrive. The ship pulled away from Nexus Prime. Across the galaxy, hundreds of human vessels were already moving. The Great Withdrawal had begun. The Council would not realize the true cost of their decision for months. But when they did, it would be too late. In the chamber, Frethix stood watching the human ship disappear. A small voice in the back of his mind whispered that they had just made a terrible mistake. But pride would not let him admit it, not yet. Not until the consequences became impossible to ignore. 6 months had passed since humanity left the Council. Dr. Hyojin Cho stood in her laboratory on Station Phoenix, watching the final data transfer complete. 20 years of research, countless breakthroughs, all being carefully packaged and sent back to human space. Around her, other scientists worked quietly. Some were human. Others were aliens who had chosen to leave with them. The Torvan scientist next to her had tears in his eyes. I will miss this place, he said softly. So will I. Hyojin replied, but we cannot stay where we are not wanted. The Council had been clear. All humans must leave Council space within 1 year. At first, humanity had protested. They had built homes, established businesses, and created lives in these sectors. But then the reports started coming in. Human-owned businesses were being vandalized. Human children were harassed in schools. Some Council species were treating humans like criminals simply for existing. The message was clear. Leave or face consequences. So humanity left. But they took everything with them. Commander Young-Sik Nam stood on the bridge of the destroyer Incheon, watching the evacuation of New Sol Colony. Thousands of transport ships moved in carefully coordinated patterns, carrying colonists and their belongings to human-controlled space. Status report, Young-Sik ordered. 93% evacuation complete, sir, his officer replied. Estimated 4 more hours until full withdrawal. Young Sik nodded. New Sol had been a beautiful world. A joint colony established 30 years ago as a symbol of cooperation between humans and the Altarians. Now it was being abandoned. The Altarians would inherit everything the humans had built. The cities, the infrastructure, the agricultural systems. They would also inherit the maintenance problems. Young Sik almost smiled at that thought. "Sir, incoming message from Fleet Command," the communications officer announced. "Admiral Taemin is recalling all defensive forces. We are to abandon our patrol routes immediately." Young Sik pulled up the tactical display. Blue markers showed human defense positions across 73 worlds. 73 worlds that humanity had protected, often at great cost. Those positions were now going dark one by one. "Acknowledge the order," Young Sik said. "All ships prepare to jump to human space." As the Incheon and her sister ships departed, they left behind empty security stations and deactivated defense satellites. The Council had not asked who would protect these worlds once humanity left. They had simply assumed they could handle it themselves. On the colony world of New Jeju, Governor Mi Young-song was taking a different approach. Unlike New Seoul, New Jeju was entirely within human-controlled space. It was never part of the Council's domain, but it had depended on Council trade for many goods. Not anymore. "Show me the self-sufficiency report." Mi Young ordered her aide. The holographic display showed impressive numbers. Food production was now 100% local. Manufacturing had increased by 300%. New Jeju had even established its own shipyard. "We no longer need anything from the Council," the aide confirmed. "We are completely independent," Mi Young felt proud. The Council had expected humanity to collapse without their trade networks. Instead, humans had simply turned inward and built better systems. What they could not make themselves, they made deals with independent species who were not part of the Council. Humanity was proving that they did not need the Council at all. Back on Nexus Prime, Councillor Thalen reviewed the latest reports with growing alarm. The numbers were devastating. "Medical supplies are down 40%, his aide reported. "The Crimson Plague is spreading again in the outer colonies. Without human doctors and human medicine, we cannot contain it." "What about the defense situation?" Thalen asked. "Worse. Pirate attacks have increased by 400% in the sectors where human fleets used to patrol. We have lost 17 merchant vessels in the last month alone. Our own fleets are spread too thin." Thalen felt his stomach sink. "And technology?" The aide hesitated. "Many of our systems are failing. The jump gates need maintenance that only human engineers understood. Our medical scanners are breaking down. The shipyards cannot produce vessels as efficiently without human technical support. Surely our own engineers can figure it out," Thalen protested. "They are trying, Counselor. But the humans developed most of this technology. They know it in ways we never bothered to learn. We always just relied on them to handle it." That was the bitter truth. For decades, the Council had grown comfortable. Why develop new medicine when humans would do it? Why improve military tactics when human fleets would protect everyone? Why innovate when humans would share their innovations? Now humanity was gone and the Council was realizing how much they had depended on them. Councillor Vrethix refused to admit the problem. In the Grand Chamber, he addressed the Council with false confidence. "The humans will return," he insisted. "They cannot survive without our markets. Give them time to realize their mistake." But some councillors were not convinced. A Torvan representative stood, his voice shaking with anger. "My homeworld is dying. The quantum plague has returned and we have no cure. The humans had the cure. We sent ambassadors to beg for their help." "Do you know what they said?" Vrethix said nothing. They said no. They said we made our choice when we voted for the restrictive measures. They said we must live with the consequences. "They are bluffing," Vrethix insisted. "Humans are soft. They will help eventually." 3 million Torvan have died in the last month, the representative said quietly. "How many more must die before you admit we were wrong?" The chamber fell silent. No one had an answer. In human space, Captain Yoon-ji Kim commanded a small scout ship on the border. Her mission was simple: watch and report. She was not to engage, not to help, not to interfere. Just observe. Through her sensors, she watched a Council merchant fleet get attacked by pirates. The merchant ships were slow and poorly armed. The pirates were having an easy time. "Captain, should we assist?" her weapons officer asked. Yoon-ji shook her head. "No, we have our orders. Record everything and move on." It felt wrong. Every instinct screamed at her to help. But orders were orders. Humanity was no longer the galaxy's protector. Let the Council save themselves. As they jumped away, Unji heard her crew whispering. They did not like this new policy. Humans had always been the ones who helped others. Now they were just watching. It gets easier, Yunji lied. She hoped it would get easier. She hoped the guilt would fade. But deep down, she wondered if humanity was losing something important by turning their backs on the galaxy. Back in the council chamber, reports continued to pile up. Trade routes were collapsing. Medical crises were spreading. Military defeats were mounting. And through it all, humanity remained silent. They had closed their borders. They had sealed their space. They were not hostile, but they were not friendly either. They simply ignored the council. One counselor suggested sending a formal apology. Vrethix refused. Another suggested offering better terms if humans would return. Vrethix refused that too. We do not beg, Vrethix declared. We are the Galactic Council. We have maintained order for thousands of years. We will weather this storm. But privately, even Vrethix was worried. His own intelligence officers were reporting something disturbing. Human industrial output had increased dramatically. Human military construction had accelerated. Human research and development was advancing at an incredible pace. It was as if humanity had been holding back all these years. As if they had been playing nice, restricting themselves to avoid threatening the council. Now, with no one to hold them back, they were showing their true potential, and it was terrifying. On New Jeju, Governor Mi Young received a message from Earth's President Daejung Hwang. It was simple and clear. The inward turn has begun. Focus on our people, our worlds, our future. The council made their choice. Now we make ours. Build strong. Build proud. Build human. Mi Young smiled and began drafting plans for expansion. Not into council space, but into the empty sectors beyond. There was a whole galaxy out there, and humanity was no longer bound by council restrictions. The withdrawal was complete. Humanity had turned away from the Galactic Council, and the Council was only beginning to understand what they had lost. 2 years had passed. President Daejung Hwang sat in his office on Earth, reading the latest intelligence reports. The news from council space was grim, but he felt no satisfaction, only sadness at the waste of it all. The Morvians and Altarians are at war. Intelligence Officer Hyun Woo Shin reported. It started as a trade dispute. Now they are firing on each other's ships. Who is mediating? Daejung asked, though he knew the answer. No one. The council has no peacekeepers anymore. The humans used to handle diplomatic solutions. Now the species just fight. Hyun Woo pulled up more data. 3 other minor conflicts have broken out. Old grudges that were kept under control are now exploding. Daejung looked at the star maps. Red zones marked conflict areas. Orange showed economic collapse. Yellow indicated medical emergencies. So much of the galaxy was in chaos now. What about our space? He asked. Hyunwoo smiled. Green across the board, sir. Our economy is the strongest it has ever been. Scientific advancement is breaking records every month. Military strength is at peak capacity. Our people are happy and prosperous. It was true. Without the Council's restrictions, humanity had flourished. They had poured resources into their own development. The results were stunning. Human technology now far exceeded anything in Council space. Human medicine had cured diseases that had plagued them for centuries. Human ships were faster, stronger, and more efficient than ever before, and they had done it all alone. Captain Eunji Kim was on another scouting mission at the border. Her ships had been watching Council space for 2 years now. Every day the situation looked worse. Captain detecting a massive energy signature in Sector 7, her sensor officer reported. It is strange. Not matching any known Council vessel. Eunji felt a chill run down her spine. Show me. The display showed something enormous. It was moving through Council space, and it was leaving nothing but debris behind. Get a closer look, Eunji ordered. But stay hidden. Her ship moved carefully, using stealth technology that the Council did not have. As they approached, they saw the horror. An entire Council fleet was destroyed. 30 ships reduced to floating wreckage, and in the center was something alien. Not from the Council, not from human space, something else entirely. Scan that vessel, Eunji commanded, her voice tight. The data came back, and it was terrifying. The ship was using technology that was centuries ahead of Council capability. Its weapons were devastating. Its shields were impenetrable by any known means. "Captain, there are more of them," the sensor officer said, voice shaking. "I am detecting 6 more signatures. They are moving deeper into Council space." UNG immediately opened a secure channel to Fleet Command. "This is Scout 7 to Command. Priority Alpha. We have a situation." On the Torvan homeworld, Ambassador Krell watched his people die. The quantum plague had mutated. It was now spreading faster than ever. In 2 years, his species had lost 20% of its population. He stood in his small ship heading toward human space. It was a desperate mission. The Council had sent 3 formal requests for help. All had been ignored. Now he would beg personally. The human border station detected his approach. A voice came through the communication system, speaking perfect Torvan. "Ambassador Krell, this is Human Border Control. State your purpose." "I request an audience with human leadership," Krell said. "My people are dying. Please, we need help." There was a long pause. Then the voice returned. "Wait here. We will relay your message." Krell waited for hours. He watched human ships move through space with incredible efficiency. Their border defenses were impressive. No wonder they did not fear the Council. Finally, the response came. But it was not what he hoped. "Ambassador Krell, your message has been delivered to President Huang." His response is as follows. "The Torvan people voted in favor of the restrictive measures. You supported our expulsion from the Council. You celebrated when we left. Now you face consequences that we cannot cure. We cannot help you. We wish you and your people peace." Krell felt his heart break. "Please," he begged. Not all Torvan supported those measures. Many of us tried to speak against it. "Our children are dying. They had no part in this. We are sorry," the voice replied. But the answer is no. Krell turned his ship around. He had failed. His people would continue to die, and there was nothing he could do about it. In the Council chamber, panic was setting in. Councillor Vrethik stood before angry representatives. "You promised this would work," a councillor shouted. "You said humans needed us." "They do need us," Vrethik insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. "They will return. When?" another councillor demanded. "While we fight among ourselves? While our economies collapse? While plagues kill millions? When will they return, Vrethik?" Thalen stood, his expression grim. "They will not return. I have received intelligence reports. Human space is thriving. They have advanced far beyond us in just 2 years. They do not need the Council." "They never did." "Impossible," Vrethik said weakly. "Is it?" Thalen gestured to the displays showing the chaos across Council space. "We relied on them for everything. Defense, medicine, technology, diplomacy. We took their contributions and gave nothing in return. We feared their success instead of learning from it. And when they offered partnership, we offered chains. Now we suffer while they prosper." Vrethik sat down heavily. For the first time, he looked old and tired. "What can we do?" "Nothing," Thalen replied. "We made our choice. Now we live with it." At that moment, alarms began blaring. Security officers rushed into the chamber. One approached Vrethik with a tablet, face pale. "Councillor, we have a priority alert. Unknown hostile forces have entered Council space. Multiple fleets are reporting contact with an aggressive alien species. They are destroying everything in their path." The chamber fell silent. Then everyone started talking at once. Where did they come from? Someone shouted, "We need to mobilize our fleets." Another yelled, "Contact the humans!" A third voice cried, "Ask them to help." Vrethik looked at the tactical display. The hostile forces were enormous. The Council fleets were trying to engage, but they were losing badly. "Sir, the early warning system is failing," the security officer reported. "It was built and maintained by humans. Without them, we only detected these invaders when they were already inside our space." Thalen laughed bitterly. "Of course. Another thing we relied on humans for. We never learned how it worked. We just used it." Back in human space, Hyunwoo was briefing President Huang about the new threat. "We call them the Devourers," Hyunwoo explained. "Extra-galactic species. Highly aggressive. Advanced technology. They were detected by our long-range sensors 3 months ago." 3 months ago? Daejung said sharply. "Why was I not informed?" "We were studying them, sir, trying to understand their capabilities. Our scientists determined they are heading for Council space, not ours. The early warning system that humans built years ago would have detected them. But the council let it fall into disrepair. Dae-jung stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. Somewhere out there, billions of council citizens were about to face an enemy they could not defeat. The council is sending distress signals, Hyun-woo said quietly. They are begging for help. Begging, Dae-jung repeated. The same council that tried to chain us. The same council that celebrated when we left. Now they want our help. Yes, sir. Dae-jung was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Assemble the cabinet. Call in Admiral Taemin and Ambassador Ji-won. We need to discuss this. Are we going to help them, sir? Hyun-woo asked. I do not know, Dae-jung replied honestly. But we need to decide quickly. Because if we do nothing, millions will die. And if we help, we save the same people who tried to destroy us. It was an impossible choice, but it was humanity's choice to make. Outside, in the cold dark of space, the Devourers continued their advance. Council fleets fought bravely and died quickly. Planets sent desperate pleas for help, and humanity watched from their borders, trying to decide if compassion was stronger than justice. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for humanity's answer. The Devourers swept through Council space like a nightmare made real. Fleet Admiral Taemin Kang watched the tactical displays in the war room, his expression grim. 3 Council fleets had engaged the enemy. 3 Council fleets had been destroyed. 7 billion dead in 1 month. General Sunmi Bayek said quietly. Entire planets burning. The Council cannot stop them. Around the table sat humanity's leadership. President Hwang, Admiral Taemin, General Sunmi, Ambassador Ji-won, and Dr. Jin Ho-yoon, the head of weapons research. They had been debating for hours. We should let them burn, one general said coldly. They made their choice. They are civilians, another argued. Children who had no say in the Council's decisions. We cannot just watch genocide. President Hwang raised his hand for silence. Admiral, what is the military situation? Taemin pulled up a holographic display. The Devourers have superior firepower and shields. Council weapons barely scratch them. Their ships are larger and faster. Tactically, they are overwhelming. Can we stop them? Hwang asked. Taemin nodded slowly. Yes, but it will cost us. Dr. Jin Ho stood and activated his own presentation. I have been analyzing the Devourer technology. Their shields operate on a quantum frequency that Council weapons cannot match. However, we can match it. He showed schematics of new weapons. Project Brightstar. We have been developing these systems for the past 2 years. Quantum disruption missiles, phased energy cannons, and graviton mines. These weapons can penetrate Devourer shields. Why did we develop these? Someone asked. We had no reason to expect this threat. Jinho smiled slightly. Because humans always prepare for the worst. While the Council grew comfortable, we continued to innovate. We built weapons not because we needed them, but because we might need them someday. Today is that day. General Sunmi added her report. Our ground forces are equipped with new armor and weapons. If we need to land troops, we can do it effectively. Our soldiers are trained for scenarios the Council never imagined. Ambassador Ji-won spoke carefully. The Council has sent 17 requests for help. The latest came from Vrethix himself. He admits they were wrong. He admits humanity was treated unjustly. He begs for our intervention. Begging, Taemin said with distaste. After everything. What do you recommend, Admiral? President Hwang asked. Taemin stood and faced his president. Sir, I hate what the Council did to us, but I took an oath to protect humanity, not to seek revenge. If we let the Council fall, the Devourers will not stop. They will come for us next. Better to fight them now in Council space than wait for them to reach our borders. And there is another reason, Ji-won added. If we help, we control the outcome. We can rebuild the galaxy according to our principles. If we refuse, we are no better than the Council was. We become the species that values pride over life. Hwang looked at each of them. General Sunmi. We should fight, she said firmly. For humanity, not for the Council. Dr. Jinho agreed. This is an opportunity to test our new technologies in real combat, and to show the galaxy what humans can do. Hwang turned to his cabinet, hands raised one by one. The vote was nearly unanimous. Humanity would intervene, but on our terms, Hwang declared. Ambassador, draft the Terran Accord. A new structure for galactic governance. If we save the Council, we will not return to the old system. Things will change. Yes, sir, Ji-won said, already making notes. Hwang looked at Taemin. Admiral, mobilize the fleet. Show them what humanity has built. Taemin saluted. With pleasure, Mr. President. The order went out across human space. Every shipyard, every military base, every fleet group received the same message. Prepare for war. When the human armada assembled, it was breathtaking. 600 warships, each equipped with technology that surpassed anything the Council had ever seen. Sleek destroyers, massive carriers, and the new dreadnoughts that were large enough to see from a planet's surface. Admiral Taemin stood on the bridge of the flagship Seoul, watching his fleet form up. These were not the ships humanity had possessed 3 years ago. These were new vessels built during the inward turn. They represented everything humanity had achieved without Council restrictions. All ships report ready. Sir, his first officer announced. Taemin opened a fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Kang to all ships. Today we go to war. Not for the Council, not for glory, but because it is the right thing to do. The Devourers threaten all life in this galaxy. We will stop them. We will show them that humanity does not run from threats. We face them. Stay sharp, fight smart, and remember, we are not the species they think we are. The fleet jumped into Council space. The first engagement came quickly. A Devourer battle group was attacking a Morvian colony. 3 massive Devourer ships were bombarding the planet, while Council defenders died trying to protect it. All ships engage at will, Taemin ordered. Show them Bright Star. The human fleet swept in like a storm. Quantum disruption missiles launched, streaking through space with trails of blue light. When they hit, the Devourer shields flickered and failed. Phased energy cannons followed, punching through armor that had shrugged off Council weapons. The Devourers tried to return fire, but human ships moved with precision that came from years of training and superior technology. They dodged attacks that should have hit, coordinated movements that confused enemy targeting systems. In 15 minutes, the 3 Devourer ships were destroyed. The human fleet had not lost a single vessel. On the Morvian colony below, survivors watched in shock. The humans had saved them. The same humans they had voted to restrict. The same humans they had celebrated when they left. Admiral Taemin did not wait for thanks. Next target, he ordered. The fleet jumped again. For 6 months, humanity fought the Devourers across Council space. Every engagement told the same story. Human technology was superior. Human tactics were better. Human resolve was unbreakable. Other species watched in awe. The Council had spent decades fearing human advancement. Now they understood why. Humanity was not just advanced. They were extraordinary. Commander Sang-Woo Park led a daring mission deep into Devourer-held space. His task was simple but nearly impossible. Destroy the Devourer command mothership. With 12 ships and a lot of courage, Sang-Woo jumped into the enemy stronghold. Devourer vessels swarmed them immediately. It looked like suicide, but Sang-Woo had a plan. Human ships were fast and maneuverable. They led the Devourers on a chase, drawing them away from the mothership. Then at the critical moment, Sang-Woo's flagship launched a new weapon, a graviton bomb. The device created a localized gravity well that pulled everything nearby toward a single point. Devourer ships crashed into each other as space itself twisted. In the chaos, Sang-Woo's ships hit the mothership with everything they had. The mothership exploded, taking 50 Devourer vessels with it. Sang-Woo's fleet escaped with only 2 ships damaged. News of the victory spread like wildfire. The Devourers were not invincible. Humanity had proven it. General Sunmi's ground forces landed on occupied worlds, liberating colonies that the Devourers had captured. Her soldiers moved like shadows, using tactics that the enemy could not predict. Where Council forces had failed to retake even 1 planet, humans liberated 7 in a month. Dr. Jin Ho's scientists studied captured Devourer technology and adapted it within weeks. What should have taken years, humans accomplished in days. They learned, they improved, and they innovated at a pace that astonished everyone. Admiral Taemin commanded the final battle from the Seoul's bridge. The human fleet, now joined by volunteer forces from grateful Council species, faced the remaining Devourer armada at the edge of the galaxy. It was the largest space battle in history. 2,000 ships on both sides fighting for the fate of the galaxy. Taemin coordinated the attack with precision. Human ships formed the spearhead, using their advanced weapons to break the Devourer lines. Volunteer forces followed, providing support and overwhelming the enemy with numbers. The battle raged for 8 hours. Ships exploded. Heroes died. But slowly, surely, humanity pushed the Devourers back. When the last Devourer ship jumped away, retreating beyond the galactic rim, a cheer went up across the fleet. They had won. Against all odds, they had won. Humanity had saved the galaxy. The war was over. Admiral Taemin Kang stood in what used to be the council chamber on Nexus Prime. It had been damaged in a Devourer attack, but it still stood. Like the rest of the galaxy, it was broken but alive. Around him, representatives from every council species waited quietly. They were not here as masters of the galaxy. They were here as survivors hoping to rebuild. Ambassador Ji-won Park walked to the center of the room. She carried a data tablet containing the Terran Accord, the document that would reshape galactic civilization. "We gather today in the aftermath of destruction," Ji-won began. Her voice was calm but powerful. 7 billion lives lost. Hundreds of worlds damaged or destroyed. Entire fleets reduced to dust. The Devourers are gone, driven back to the void they came from. But the scars they left will take generations to heal. She paused, looking at each representative. The old council failed. It failed to innovate. It failed to adapt. It failed to treat all species with equal respect. Most importantly, it failed to recognize that fear and pride are not foundations for civilization. Councillor Vrethix sat in the corner, no longer in his grand seat. He looked smaller now, older. The arrogance was gone, replaced by shame. "Humanity does not seek to rule you," Ji-won continued. "We did not fight to become your masters. We fought because it was right. Because allowing genocide to happen, even to those who wronged us, would make us less than human." She activated the holographic display, showing the Terran Accord. "This document proposes a new structure for the galaxy. First, no species shall be restricted based on fear. Every civilization has the right to grow, explore, and advance at their own pace." Some representatives nodded. Others looked uncertain. Change was frightening. Second, technology sharing is voluntary, never mandatory. Knowledge should be given freely between friends, not demanded by force or law. Third, military protection is not an obligation. Species may request assistance, but no one is forced to defend others. Help must be earned through friendship and mutual respect. Fourth, each species governs itself. No central authority will dictate internal policy. Your worlds are your own. Finally, disputes will be resolved through binding arbitration by neutral parties. Violence should always be the last resort, not the first. Ji-won looked directly at Vrethix. The old council demanded loyalty through fear. The new order offers partnership through respect. Those who wish to join us, welcome. Those who wish to remain independent, we wish you well. But know this, humanity will not return to the old ways. Not ever. The chamber was silent. Then slowly a Torvan representative stood. "Humanity saved my species," he said, his voice breaking. "We were dying. The council told us there was no hope. But humanity developed a new cure. They shared it freely, asking nothing in return. How can we not embrace this new vision?" One by one, other species stood and pledged their support. Not all of them. Some still clung to the old ways, to pride and tradition. But more than half accepted the Terran Accord. The old Galactic Council was dissolved. In its place rose something new, the Free Worlds Alliance. It was not a government. It was a partnership of equals. Governor Yuna Choi stood on the bridge of a merchant vessel, watching the first official trade exchange under the new system. Human ships carried medicine and technology. Alien ships carried rare minerals and cultural goods. Everyone traded as equals. "This is what it should have been from the beginning," Yuna said to her aide. "Partnership, not dominance." The free trade collective she had established became the economic backbone of the new order. Species that joined prospered. Those that remained isolated stagnated further, but humanity did not force anyone to join. That was the difference. The old council had demanded compliance. Humanity offered choice. Admiral Taemin visited the memorial site on the Morvian homeworld. A massive monument had been erected, listing the names of all who died in the Devourer War. Human names were inscribed alongside Morvian, Torvan, Altarian, and others. A young Morvian approached him, a child no more than 10 years old. "You are the human admiral," the child said shyly. "I am," Taemin replied. "My parents died in the war, but you saved me. The child held up a drawing. It showed human ships fighting the Devourers. Thank you. Taman knelt down to the child's level. He felt emotion tighten his throat. Your parents were brave. They fought for their world. We only finished what they started. The child hugged him suddenly. Taman returned the embrace, remembering why humanity had chosen to fight. Not for glory. Not for revenge. For moments like this, not everyone was grateful. Some former council species refused to accept the new order. They insisted on maintaining their pride, their independence, their old ways. Humanity let them. There was no punishment, no sanctions. Just a simple truth. Those who refused to adapt would be left behind, and they were. Within 5 years, it became clear which path led to prosperity. The species that joined the Free Worlds Alliance thrived. Their economies grew. Their technology advanced. Their people lived better lives. The species that remained isolated fell further behind. They still blamed humanity for their problems, but fewer and fewer believed them. 20 years later, Ambassador Ji-Won Park was old now. She had retired from active diplomacy, but was called back for a special occasion. A new species had made first contact with the galaxy. They were young, curious, and a little frightened. They had detected our signals and sent a small delegation to meet us. In the grand meeting hall, representatives from 30 species waited to greet them. It was nothing like the old council chamber. This room was bright, welcoming, built as a place of equals. The alien delegation entered nervously. Their leader, a being with 4 arms and compound eyes, looked around in wonder. Admiral Taman Kang, now elderly but still sharp, stepped forward. His hair was gray, his face lined with age, but his eyes still held kindness. Welcome, Taman said warmly. Welcome, friends. We are the Free Worlds Alliance. We come from different stars, different worlds, different histories. But we share one belief, that all sapient life deserves respect, dignity, and freedom. The alien leader seemed to relax slightly. We have heard stories about the Galactic Council that once ruled, about its fall, about humanity saving the galaxy. Are these stories true? Ji-Won stepped forward, smiling. Some of them are true. Some are exaggerated. But this part is true. We learned that cooperation is stronger than domination. That friendship is more valuable than control. That diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. Another human representative added, We will not force you to join us. We will not demand your technology or restrict your growth. We offer only this. If you wish to trade, we will trade fairly. If you wish to learn, we will teach freely. If you need help, we will provide it without strings attached. And if you wish to be alone, we will respect that choice. The alien leader looked around at all the different species, all working together. And if we join you? Taman smiled. Then we grow together. You will have full rights and full voice. Your species will be equals with all of us. We will celebrate your successes and support you through challenges. That is what partnership means. The alien considered this. In the old days, the council would have presented demands and restrictions. They would have made joining feel like submission. But this was different. This was an invitation, not an order. We will need time to decide, the alien said carefully. Of course, Ji-Won replied. Take all the time you need. We will be here when you are ready. As the alien delegation was shown to comfortable quarters, Taemin and Ji-Won stood together, watching them go. Do you think they will join? Ji-Won asked. Eventually, Taemin replied, when they see how we treat each other. When they see that we mean what we say, they will join not because they must, but because they want to. Ji-Won looked around the hall. We did it. We actually built something better. Not just us, Taemin corrected. All of us together. Humans, Torvin, Morvians, all the species that chose partnership over pride. Outside the windows, ships from dozens of worlds moved through space in coordinated traffic. Trade vessels, science ships, patrol craft working together to keep everyone safe. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still problems, still conflicts. But they were being solved through dialogue and cooperation, not war. The Devourers had not returned. Maybe they never would. But if they did, the galaxy would be ready. Not as separate, frightened species, but as allies who stood together. Taemin thought back to that day in the old council chamber, when he had walked away with Ji-Won and Captain Sung-Ho. They had thought humanity would stand alone. They had been wrong. Humanity did not stand alone. They stood first, and others followed. That night, as stars shone over Nexus Prime, the elderly admiral looked up at the sky and smiled. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers. But for the first time in a long time, there was hope. Hope that different species could live together in peace. Hope that wisdom could triumph over fear. Hope that the future would be brighter than the past. And it was all because humanity had chosen to be better. Not perfect, just better. In the end, that made all the difference.